So I saw money moving and I ran up on it. That's what you have to do. So this is the reframe. You don't make money. You must take money. Money is always moving. There's more of it every day. And it is vulnerable. And you must find where money is moving and attack it. I'll give you guys a perfect example. Look at these companies like Glovo. Glovo, what's Glovo? Glovo thought people order food. Okay, well, how about I deal with getting the food from the store to the person and I can make some money. That's all it is. They saw money moving. Money's going to a restaurant, food's going to a person. Well, if I can find a way to streamline the delivery, I can make some money. It's getting in the way of money moving. Start paying attention to how money's moving and start trying to get in the way. This is another really important point on how to make money. Most people never spend any of their time or any of their attention trying to find ways to make money. Now, I'll give you an example. When I was broke, I understood the principles I've already taught to you. How money is always moving and it's vulnerable when it's moving. So every time I spent money, every single time I spent money, I would sit and work out how they convinced me to spend money. So if I went to Starbucks and I just bought a latte, this is what you guys do. This is what you people do. Starbucks, latte please. Okay, that's $5. Okay, $5. Sip, sip, sip. Sip, sip, go home. That's what you do. Here's what I do. I walk in, latte please, $5. I pay the $5. I sit down, I look at my cup and go, $5. This is 99% water. They get the cup for a penny. They get the coffee for 2 pennies max. And the rest is hot water. Now I paid $5. So I'll sit there and go, okay, how did they convince me? They had a big branding sign. They had a big Starbucks sign outside. I kind of wanted coffee. I know about Starbucks. They're all over the internet. They do good advertising. When I walked in, I could smell coffee. There was perfume in the air. Now, how else could they have made me spend more money? Why did I only spend $5 and I didn't spend $100? Do they have cake? Do they have food? Well, they have food, but it doesn't look very good. It's not laid out. They don't have hot meals. Oh, most of the people in here are men on their lunch break from business. Why is a man serving? If a pretty girl was working here, they'd have more people coming in for coffee. Do you understand? When I spend money, I sit and I analyze. How did I spend money? Where could more money have been spent? How could they have taken more money from me? How much is the rent of this Starbucks? If I were to open up a business next door to Starbucks, could I sell lattes for $4 instead of $5? Would I be able to afford staff, rent, bills? Every time I spend money, I look at why money is being spent so I can identify the money moving, and it gives me ideas to make money. All I do whenever I see money moving is try and get involved. You have to change the way you view the world. Every time you spend money, every time your friend spends money, every time you see money being spent or moving, you need to work out how it was convinced. Because Starbucks didn't make $5. Starbucks took $5 from me. Do you understand? Starbucks took my money. They robbed me. They took my money. They took $5 in exchange for a coffee which is worth less than 10 cents. I got robbed. Broad daylight. Now, you need to sit and work out how you're getting robbed. Because if you work out how people are robbing you, it will give you more ideas on how you can get in between other people. Do you understand? If you sit there and go, how is everyone taking my money? Okay, now I see how they're taking my money. So how can I do the same thing and take other people's money? You need to start viewing the world that way. Most of you never consider that when you spend money. It should be all you think about because you're going to have ideas. Listen, Starbucks is just a coffee shop. They're one of the richest companies in the world. But they didn't come up with a great idea. It's not a revolutionary idea. It's the most boring idea. We're going to sell coffee, maybe a couple brownies. We'll have free Wi-Fi. That's the crappiest business idea. That's the worst idea. And they have all this money. People always say, Andrew, I need an idea. No, you don't. You don't need a good idea, because bad ideas make money. Boring ideas make money. The most basic things make money because people are always spending money. Look at the stuff you spend money on. You're not spending money on taking a rocket to elephant space. You're not doing anything unique. You're spending money on crap. People are robbing you with crap and junk. That's what's happening. So you can do the same thing. What was the quote I said? What was the quote I said at the beginning? Business. It's just other people's money.
Is that I refuse to believe in things that take power away from me. If you are in a haunted house and you believe in ghosts, you're scared of the haunted house. If you're in a haunted house and you don't believe in ghosts, you're just in a house and you don't care. So I don't like the idea when someone explains to me the idea of one day waking up and being miserable and not wanting to live anymore, and it's nothing to do with my circumstances and I have no power over it, and no matter how good my life is, I'm still going to feel terrible and I'm going to want to die. That's not an idea I subscribe to. That's not a reality I'm ever going to want. But that's depressed is real.
Yeah.
Depression as a disease, I do not subscribe to. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. The idea, but they don't say that. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain. You're sad no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world, and that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it.
So how about chemical imbalances in the brain?
Bullshit. That's all been disproved anyway.
Really?
It's all been disproved. Firstly, that's all been disproved. And secondly, even if that was true, even if I had a chemical imbalance in my brain, I do not believe in depression. That's just who I am as a person. I don't believe in it. I do not believe in things that take power away from me. So, and people sit there and they try very hard to convince me it's real, which is actually quite interesting because it's always usually depressed people who sit there and try very hard to defend this idea. If you're so scared, if depression's so terrible, why are you sticking up for it? Why are you fighting so hard to convince me it's such a powerful force? Why shouldn't you be doing the opposite? Shouldn't you be listening to me? Whose team are you on? Like, do you want to be depressed? Like, it's insanity, these people who are so desperate to push this idea. Then you add in the pharmaceutical element and the fact that everyone's taking these fucking drugs, messing with their brain chemistry. It's garbage. I think that you feel depressed sometimes because you're human.
So you felt depressed at times, would you say?
We're all human.
Yeah, because I felt depressed. I mean, I had some major, it might not sound big, but some major dental surgery done. And it really got me down for a while. But my businesses and running those, to be honest, picked me up because it was like, I can't be like this. Get in there, do some business.
Well, completely. And also, let's look at it. Let's pretend I'm completely wrong, right? We can look at situational depression like you just described. We can talk about brain imbalance and chemical imbalance. We can talk about clinical depression that you get and it's chronic and nothing you do about it, whatever. Let's pretend all these things are completely true. The best option, the best thing to do is still to get up, be an adult, control your emotions, be stoic, and do the things you're supposed to do day after day. Laying in bed and doing nothing is never going to be the best option. The best option is still to go to the gym, to work hard, to run your business, to be successful. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about the different positions on the chessboard. But if the rules of the game remain the same, regardless of the position you're still trying to win, you still have to do the same things. So does it even matter at this point? If you come along and say he's depressed because of X and he's depressed because of Y and he's depressed because of Z, and the answer to all of them is still the same thing, then I don't give a fuck why you're depressed. All I know, what I will state as a matter of fact, is this world is hyper-competitive, especially as a man. Most men are walking through life and they don't realize that it's constant competition. I was driving here, even as I was driving here, I was looking out the windows, and all these people just walking around. One of them had a fucking croissant. One of them was dressed like a dickhead because it's London and some fucking looks. Some of the dude just talking shit on the phone. Some other guy with headphones in, waiting to be fucking murdered, wouldn't even hear it coming. And all these NPCs, I'm just looking at them going, do they realize they're in endless, constant competition? Every single pound they want, someone else wants. Every single girl they want, someone else wants. There are people like me out here. I will destroy, you could get all 30 of them in a room, and I will sit by myself and absolutely annihilate them in any single metric. And they're just sitting there just fucking floundering and wandering through life, unaware of how competitive the world is.
Well, and whinging how unfair
And
it is.
whinging how unfair it is. And this is my point. If the world is truly that competitive, you do not have time to be depressed because it's a non-competitive mind state. You could be depressed for X, Y, Z, whatever. I'm not depressed. And I want the money you want, and I want the girl you want, and I want the status you want, and the car you want, and the house you want. And I'm going to get it, and you're fucking not. And that's the bottom line of life.
If you gave that guy...
Pills just numbs you.
Mask.
It masks it.
Well, it's not a holistic way to treat it, is it? Whereas what you're saying is more so.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you're playing a game, and it's a competitive game, and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. If you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions?
Losers.
Correct.
Dan is the first loser. Yeah.
It's true. And it's just the bottom line of life. And it's kind of interesting because everyone pretends they give a fuck, but nobody does. Especially women. And I know I get attacked for women, but women truly don't give a fuck. If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad. Ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. I've literally had women say to me, you know what I love being around you? I'm like, what? I don't have to think. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I just turn up and like, we just walk in the hotel and everyone, staff do anything we want and the jet's just on the runway and we just land and I'm in this beautiful place and I don't even know where I am and I get to just turn my brain off and it's great. Like, they want someone who is fun and spontaneous and charismatic and successful. They don't have time for sad dudes. They don't care. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck and you're going to perpetually lose forever. And that is your decision. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that could possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I could possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary because I will never stay a loser. It's against my creed. It's not in my DNA.
Yeah.
The thing about society and MSM and all this garbage and the Matrix, they try and convince you, don't worry if you're being a loser because people feel sorry for you and you'll get attention for it and you'll be okay in the end. And it's all this temporary fixes of dopamine by saying, I'm sad. Don't worry, bro. You'll be okay. But it's bullshit. They don't care long term. The world doesn't care. Nobody really cares. Chicks don't care. Business doesn't care. You are going to fail.
On the 12th of March of this year, something amazing happened. Those of you who will follow me on Twitter will know what I'm about to talk about. On the 12th of March of this year, due to all the coronavirus lockdowns and rah-de-rah, everyone started panicking and everyone's get locked in their house and blah, blah. And the price of Bitcoin plummeted 50% in like 2 hours. Not everyone remembers that. I remember. And on the 12th of March, I put a tweet on my Twitter account saying, you're all pussies. We all know it's going to come back. Buy as much as you can. I'm about to buy a bunch. Of course, a bunch of people start replying under it. Actually, no, this is the end of Bitcoin monetary system. People do not seem to yet understand that crisis and opportunity are the same thing. Crisis and opportunity are the same thing. In fact, in Japanese, they have the same word. And what most of you people are doing is you're going through your life. You're seeing a crisis. You're seeing the world get destroyed. You're seeing Corona. You're seeing the American election be stolen. You're seeing all these bad things happen, and you do not identify any opportunity in these circumstances. You sit there and think, oh, well, the world does what it does, and I'll keep doing my job. I'll keep working at Starbucks. And maybe one day when my ship comes in, I'll make some money. Never. That's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, and I'm going to tell you why. 3 reasons most of you are never going to be rich. One, you do not identify opportunity. The opportunity we're discussing now, which happened on the 12th of March, where I bought 600 grand of Bitcoin, which is now worth in excess of 7 million. I've done zero work. Zero. I've turned 600K into 7 million just because I identified an opportunity. It took me 10 minutes. You're sitting out there thinking, if I just had $1 million, if I could just become a millionaire. That's how easy it is. Now, you probably didn't have 600K to buy Bitcoin like I did. Fine. You could have put 600 in and had 70 grand. 70,000 you could have had from 600. But you do not identify opportunities. This is the first thing you do not do. You do not pay attention to the world around you. You just live in your little bubble. You're too busy arguing with your ugly girlfriend, too busy stressed out about some dumb shit, too busy sleeping in. You don't pay attention. You're not perspicacious. This is why you miss opportunities. First reason you're never going to be rich. Second reason you're never going to be rich is that everything that is taught and told about wealth creation is outdated. Your parents' idea of how to generate wealth no longer works. Your parents say just work hard, save your money, put it in a savings account, and then get a mortgage, and then you can pay off the house. All garbage. That stuff doesn't work anymore. Back when your parents were doing that, the savings account gave them 6-7% interest. Now you don't even get 1%. Pay off the house. How much cheaper was a house in relation to their wages then than it is now? It's insane. If you actually try and make money by just putting money in a savings account and getting a mortgage and paying off the mortgage, you're going to be broke until you're 60. And that's not getting rich. You need to be rich when you're young and sexy, like me, not when you're old. Because nobody cares about the old dude in the Lambo. They care about the young dude in the Lambo. So everything you've been told and taught about wealth creation is outdated and wrong. The key to wealth creation, everything has changed. The whole game has changed. And I even say to people all the time, the ones I mentor and coach, don't buy a house. Rent a house. They're like, oh, but isn't that wasting money? No, what's wasting money is buying a house, giving huge interest rates to a fucking bank, and then tying yourself to one geographical location. The reason humans are the #1 species on the planet is because of our adaptability, the ability to adapt. I can go anywhere on Earth. I can go wherever the money is, where the money resides. If the money's residing in Japan, I can go to Japan. If I need to go to Singapore, I can go to Singapore. I can go live in Las motherfucking Vegas. Wherever I'm gonna get paid, I can go. And I'll just rent. Boom, boom, boom. I ain't got nothing tying me down. It ain't gonna take years for me to buy or sell something. I ain't gotta worry about all the upkeep and property maintenance. Buying a house is foolish. Now, I'm not going to lie, I do own this house because I wanted it to be exactly the way I want it. But I'm rich, right? You aren't. So you shouldn't be doing that shit anyway. You do not need to buy a house. It's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. It's a psychological thing that your parents have told you. If you own a home, if you own a home, if you own a home. And then I tell people this and they go, oh yeah, but you can always rent it out. You're going to spend $300,000 on a house so that you can rent it out for $800 a month. And then every time the boiler breaks, you're going to spend $500 fixing the boiler. And they're going to damage your house. And by the time they leave, you're going to need a whole bunch of repairs. And they're going to be calling you all the time for hassle and stress if they even pay their rent on time. You think that's a good spend of $300 grand? Do you know what else you could do with $300 grand? Buy Bitcoin. Revolutionary. Your real estate can be on the blockchain
by your neck, choke
instead of out here.
Successful
because
now.
The blockchain, it can be sold
breathing and you're not.
You ever tried to sell a house? Takes years. Ever tried to sell Bitcoin? Seconds.
And I understood this from a young age as well. So I'm sitting there at a young age thinking, I need to get a network of high net worth individuals.
The most important reason,
or not even rich men, but men who are driven,
you do not
men
have
who are making money
to get rich. Nothing good has ever happened on accident. Have you ever met a guy who's just got covered in muscle, he's got a six-pack? You're like, hey bro, how'd you do that? You've been going to the gym. No man, it was just an accident. Oops. No, he built that body purposefully. He did things specifically to get the result he desired. He ate a specific way. He trained a specific amount. He knew exactly what he was doing. Every rich person knows exactly what they're doing. People who are making money know exactly how to do it. You're sitting there saying, I want to be rich. You don't even have a plan to get rich. How the fuck are you going to get rich on accident? How's that going to happen? Oops, I'm a millionaire. Never. So, 1, you do not pay attention to opportunities in crisis. 2, everything you understand about wealth creation is outdated and wrong. And 3, you do not have a plan. Here's where I come in, Andrew Tate, because I have a plan for you. So, we talked about my little Bitcoin story. You can see the tweet here I put out. I made 7 million, blah, blah, blah. Bought a Bugatti, blah, blah, blah. I'm the man. We all know I'm the man. There's something new in the world now called decentralized finance. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I am not particularly familiar with it. In fact, I'm not that briefed on it. I'm certainly not a technical dork. I don't completely understand it, but I have very smart people who work for me who do understand it. Because that's what happens when you're the boss. You hire people who know things, right? All those people who went to, expensive universities, and I didn't go. Well, except for the camera guy. He didn't go to university. It's true. But these dorks who work for me, they know a bunch of shit. And what they're doing is they're getting me a 30 or 40% return on my money. So I'm giving them 100 grand and I'm getting 30% a year, 40% a year. The bank doesn't even give 1%. We just talked about how the old ways of wealth generation, putting it in a savings account, they were aiming for 6 to 7%. I can give you 30 or 40% if you get involved in our centralized finance program. So, if you want to know more about this, it doesn't matter if you have 5 euros, it doesn't matter if you have 5 million euros. Maybe I'm a bit egotistical, some would say. But I'm certainly extremely handsome. We can all agree on that. And I'm also very intelligent. We can all agree on that. And I don't like helping ungrateful motherfuckers.
How do you be successful as a man? We'll talk about it. First thing, you need freedom, because you ain't a man if you're not free. And you may sit there and go, I'm not a slave, I get paid really well. Listen, the slaves got free food and free shelter in exchange for work. Now all they've done is got rid of the food and shelter deal, give you dollars, which you spend on food and shelter, and you basically have nothing left. So you're still a fucking slave. So first thing you need is freedom. If you're not free, you're not a man. First thing, you're not a successful man. So you should always be working towards freedom. And I mean freedom with your time. Do what you want. Freedom with your location. Go where you want. There's a riot. Cool. Go in Tokyo. See you later. Bye. Going to Australia. See you later. Bye. Freedom, one thing. The next thing that constitutes success as a man is your network. Who are you talking to? Who are these people? Who will answer your phone calls? Listen, I got 2 phones. Identical, almost. Twins. I got 2 phones right here. And I can call one of many multi-millionaires. And when they see my name, they're going to